Get 'em. Come on. I must be crazy having to follow such good presenters doing this who've done this many times, because this is terrifying. All right, shall we? Let's get crazy, let's bring it on. So let's say I asked you, what is your biggest objective for this year? Well, for many of you, I would say you're gonna tell me, I want to drive more low-cost direct revenue for my property, right? But the problem is the gatekeepers keep increasing the tolls on the road to revenue. Low-cost revenue is going away. We know that Google is our most important distribution channel, right? For most hotels, it's 40 to 50 to 60% of your website traffic. It's also anywhere between 55 and 60% of your meta spend. But ads are taking over. Organic is dying in the way we've always known it. Remember when Google used to look like this? It doesn't any longer. The #1 ranking used to be about 300 pixels from the top of the page. Today, it is more than 1,000, even if you're ranking #1. It has changed the way guests can find you and they can come to your property to get direct revenue. And that's a huge problem. That's a huge challenge that we are all facing. And it's not just us, right? We're running into this across the board in terms of where we get our business from. Expedia, Mark Okerstrom from Expedia has said Google is our #1 competitor. Between Booking.com and Expedia, they spent almost $9 billion last year to drive revenue, in the neighborhood of $9 billion. $9 billion is a very nice neighborhood, right? It's not just Google, though. We're seeing the same story in social. You've all seen promoted posts, and we have to pay now to get in front of our customers. That's a huge problem, driving up your cost and hurting ProPar, right? Now, of course, this is not just true for that. It's not just true for search or social. It's also true for Meta. We'd all like to think Meta is going to be a savior that's going to ride in and save us on this, right? Meta actually delivers about 7% of the traffic to OTAs and only about 1% on average to hotels. So Meta itself isn't that big a win in most cases. Now, what can you do about it? Well, unfortunately, these are very short presentations, so that's all the time I have. Oh, wait, I'm just messing with you. There's a whole bunch of things you can do to drive the revenue you want directly to your business, right? And the first thing that you have to remember and work with your marketing teams is that content is, was, and always shall be the king, right? This is critical. We have to have the right content to answer our guests' questions. It is our 24/7 by 365 salesperson, regardless of where they find it. That's really crucial to us. Remember, if you don't have content, you don't have search. Here are examples of people doing search on high funnel terms like Minnesota Twins stadium address or boutique hotels downtown Minnesota. And you'll notice no ads. It's top of funnel instead of getting close to the transaction. Now also, no content, no search, no content, no social. Your guests want to tell a story about your brand and about your property. But if you don't tell them what to say, they don't know what to tell their friends and family and fans and followers. So we need to make sure we've got a good story for them to tell. Now you're going to have to learn some new metrics. Dwell time. Dwell time means people come to your site and they stay there without going back to Google. If they go back to Google, that's a signal that you're not a good answer and it hurts you in the rankings. Engagement. We've all heard this term for a while, but it's actually the sign to social that people like the content and want to stay there. Now, if content is king, customer experience is queen. We are in a customer experience business. You all know that. We want to make sure we're giving our guests an experience that they want to share with their friends, that they want to share with their family, that they want to share with their fans, and they want to share with their followers. This is an example of Flip 2 used by a property that I work with. Notice the stories that guests are telling. This is something that punches a hole in the algorithm for Facebook and Instagram and the like because this is guests sharing their story. It's not us telling the story. We don't have to pay for this. They tell the story. Now, if content is king and customer service is queen, data is the crown jewels. And obviously, you folks live with data all day, every day. What you're looking to do is take that data so we can tell a targeted story to the guest and help them tell a positive brand story on our behalf. Think about your secret sales force. If you're a 100-room hotel with 60% occupancy, with 1.4 guests per room, 365 nights of the year, that's 31,000 guests who can go out and tell a story on your behalf. They have 200 friends on Facebook on average. That gives you a potential reach of 6.2 million people. You can't reach all of them, maybe you only reach 10%. That's still 600,000 people who can hear about your property. And wouldn't that be a good thing to be able to do, right? The mistake we make too often is we think too close to the transaction. When we think about the relationship with our guests, too often we're thinking about this kind of relationship. And maybe we want to get out of that mindset. Maybe this isn't just, hey, will you sleep with us tonight? We're in the hotel business after all. But instead, we want to be thinking about how do we have a better, deeper relationship? Something that you might see, I don't know, in like a Hallmark movie, a fairy tale romance. We want our guests to love us because that's how you actually drive rate up. If people book through a channel that costs you money the first time, that's okay. If they book through a channel that you have to pay for twice, that's shame on you. So if you want to drive that fairy tale romance, please remember, content is king, customer experience is queen, and data is the crown jewels. And if you make those all work together with your marketing team and your rev management team, then obviously I can promise you, you won't end up royally screwed. Thanks so much.
Fantastic. Well done.